As I stated, they don't.
You shouldn't be allowed to set up. I don't care if you have a license, you shouldn't be able to get licensed set up on the street and set like that.
As I stated, they don't. So you're correct, they are violating and breaking the law.
Drop the dime.
But what was the response you got when you did call it?
Well, when I would say if I would call the police and I said, well, why are you letting, well, I said, well, they're making our lives live, you know? They don't do anything about it.
I can't respond to MPD procedures.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
What is they gonna do about all these empty houses that's sitting all over Memphis, just sitting there? You know, I mean, they empty. You know, your home, they're taking the value of the property down on your home, where you live. You know, I mean, when I first moved down here in Whitehead, I was 28 years old. That's when I first got married. And I was 28 at the time. And I can remember all the homes back down there, because I used to walk to work and get the car in the truck and drive. Out in Whitehaven, I used to get the car in the truck, drive out in Germantown to go to work. And because all of them homes, didn't nobody stay in them homes but white people at the time. You know, one single black there, and the neighborhood was not destroyed like it is now. So I didn't see a whole lot of vacant, empty houses like what I'm saying right now. So what are they gonna do about that?
There is a strategic plan in place and being implemented right now. The city of Memphis has what we call a vacant property registry. It's that every vacant property here in the city of Memphis metropolitan area has to be registered with the city of Memphis, so that we would know exactly who owns that property and how to get in touch with them in case something happens. One thing about that situation is that the human resources to carry that out. I'm quite sure you've probably been riding in your vehicle and you hear all these commercials about going into business, learning how to flip houses in Memphis. It's a lucrative business. And then one thing about that, before we can really fully and effectively enforce those type of ordinances, we have to have the laws on the books that gives us that authority. Well, I'm glad to say today we do, because we have changed our ordinances of code enforcement in the city of Memphis. The city of Memphis has now adopted what we call the International Property Maintenance Code, which is something that's more stricter, or more powerful, and more tangible in code enforcement tool that we ever had. And even with that tool, we'll be able to reach out and touch individuals all across this country that own property. And it will not be as easy as it has been for individuals to come in and flip houses, because people are making a lot of money. They're coming in and buying up houses, buying whole blocks of houses. So all of that has been changed. All of that has been changed. Is that it's going to cost them to come into Memphis with the vacant houses that we have to do business like they normally did. It's costing them. We're putting a price on everything that we do, because it's our tax dollars that calls for inspectors to go out and address these issues. So now if you have vacant properties in the city of Memphis, you're going to have to register that property. It's $200 a structure. You're going to have to maintain that property. If we go out there more than 3 times, then you're going to have to pay $100. Yes, sir. If we board that property up, it's not just a board up free. It's going to cost. Sir?
I don't see no vacant houses out there in Bartley where I live.
Well, we have a whole lot of vacant houses right here in the city, and that's a true fact.
We speaking, I don't see any out there. And
But the one thing that you probably don't see out there is the fact that there are a lot of rental properties out there.
yeah, but they all nice and good.
For right now?
Like, it's right now, yeah.
For right now. And that's going to be changed, because it's going to cost every rental property in the city of Memphis is going to have to be registered, and it's going to have to be inspected. So it's not doing business as usual.
That's just like I said, 3 years from now, South Memphis, like I said, before I sold my house over here off the Perkins I had, you know, I just sold it and got on out because, you know, I know what was coming, you know, because like I said, South Memphis, over there where I grew up at, You understand, I'm not ashamed of it.
No.
And I grew up there. And
From Orange County.
around the areas over there, I grew up there. Okay, now I was telling people about 3 or 4 years from now, East Memphis gonna be the same way like South Memphis. And my God, it's just like, you
That's
know,
what happened when we allow situations like that to go unregulated for a long period of time. I've been in this business going on 22 years.
Yeah,
And what you're talking about,
it's true.
I know it's true. I'm not arguing with you. But I'm saying what you're talking about, I stated that years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Almost got fired. But I got the power to speak the power.
Truth to power.
Well, I understand that, you know.
I'm sorry, sir. I need to stop you, sir. Excuse me. That's personal, and we would like for you to stop, please, please. We're not supposed to be taking questions, but since our speakers are getting finished earlier, we do want to address some things. The gentleman back here had his hand, Mr. Tidwell. Would you please address this gentleman? Do you still have a question, sir?
Yes, ma'am. It goes along the line with the gentleman there. I was wondering what are the standards for the vacant businesses and you know, strip malls? There are some businesses that they've been ransacked, and they've been ransacked for months.
It's the same.
And then also I have a question for businesses that don't keep up their property. There's some stores and dollar stores that have so much trash in it, it's losing not only value for them, but for the community around.
It's the same. You're talking about commercial businesses. Our department has now taken upon to hire at least 4 commercial building inspectors. Years ago, we didn't have that. That was with a whole nother department in the city of Memphis. So it's brought up under our umbrella now to address the vacant commercial buildings in this city. It's something that we think that we can handle, something that we think we can put a foothold on. We might not be able to change it overnight, but if we don't address it, it will grow. We have to let them know that we are here and we are going to actually do some things about it.
Mr. Goodwill, I think you also, if he's trying to, see, in our community, the businesses, Chicken Loaves up and down, Elvis Presley, they tend, the owners don't clean around, you know?
This
They
is what our
own
committee
business.
is for, not to cut you off, but we're getting out of time sync with the agenda. So please, join the committee for blight and help them to help us clean.
That's what we're looking for, is we're looking for hands, not just words.
You know, code enforcement, so.
Let me
Please.
help you with that. The reason that we are in that situation is because the responsibility of commercial buildings and their properties was left up to the county for so long. The city of Memphis did not have an enforcement of that statute. We had nobody to actually do that. So when you look at the county having Memphis and all the other small cities around, how often do you think that those county inspectors actually went inside the neighborhoods and down Elvis Presley and Park Avenue neighborhood? They didn't. I'm just being honest with you, they didn't. That's why if the powers be listened to what we were saying, and now we have commercial inspectors now that can actually legally address commercial businesses. And it's going to be a great effect. It's going to be a great turnaround. Late, yes, but it's better than never.
Amen. No more questions. I'm sorry, Linda. We got to keep moving.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell.
Now we're going to ask Dr. Booker T. Camper Jr., certified public accountant and certified business consultant, to come with his presentation.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. I was drafted to handle the business owners, and I just really appreciate everybody, Yvonne and her organization backing me in. But I think that I was reminded that this is an organization meeting, and what we're here for is trying to get an organization structure and board directors so that we can deal with some of the issues in Whitehaven in these areas
In Shelby County,
here in Shelby County.
yes.
Because I had met with some of the other community leaders, and they were concerned about dealing with problems both locally, state, and national. Now, that's a big thing to bite off of. But I think that the most important thing is we come together, and like Yvonne was saying, get on the committees, and we establish an organizational structure with a responsible board. Basically 10 to 12 people, and a corporation will be a nonprofit corporation.
No nonprofit.
No nonprofit?
We don't want the government restricting us. No nonprofit.
Well, so how are you going to get donations?
Because people like us understand the need for what we're doing without those restrictions. And if they believe in what we're doing, they'll still donate. We can.
Well,
I
the
know you
donation
can't-
will be taxable.
Sometimes you gotta pay for it though, Booker.
I've been in business since 1975. CPA, when we do work in Tennessee, we do work nationally. We do audits
Yeah.
of nonprofit corporations. HBCUs, historically black colleges, a lot of charter schools. We do a lot of audits of local city and counties in the state of Mississippi. But I think that what I've been drafted for is that we come together as an organization so that we can be an economic, social, and political force in this community, in the city of Memphis. You know, the way I see it, Dr. Gibson and I, and Dr. Robert Smith, and Dr. Hardy, and a couple of educators, we set up a community development corporation in 1999. And at that time, it was only Chuck Strug's CDC out here. And so we thought that if we can work with Chuck Strug in improving the area, things would be okay. But, you know, Mr. Strug didn't want us to be a part of his organization. So we set up the Whitehaven Levi Community Development Corporation. And we got some grants and did something. We really want to do some development. But I think that this new group that's here today wants to organize. Yes, the new group here wants to organize, to get an organization structure with 10 to 12 board of directors that will be effective on a state, on a local, state, and maybe national level. Because, you know, Whitehaven, as we know it, is sort of splintered in dealing with some of these problems here. And I think that's why I was brought on. Yes.
There is a Whitehaven Community Development Corporation.
What are they doing? Where are they? Why aren't they here? Not to be picking on
They were
you.
given some money. I don't know what they've done with it. If you wanted to be on it, you had to apply to be a board member. I have no idea who's on that board. I just know the director, and I don't know what they're doing.
Who's the director?
Trey McKnight.
Trey McKnight.
I applied for that. I got put off in the first round. I've been in my community 26 years. Dr. J, when you came to my house back in 1994, you knocked on the door, rang the doorbell, and said, "I'm here to see Miss Nelson."
Absolutely.
Dr. J, I said, "I'm Miss Nelson." And he said, "No, you can't be. You're too young." Is that what you said, Pastor?
Absolutely.
This man is never where he needs to be. We need an effective organization, and we need it for Shelby County. Not to be picking on you. I love that you're here. I love your voice. I support you in everything you do. But we need to do better than what we're doing with that
You
organization.
know, that was not, I'm not on that board either. I've been out here about
They don't want nobody
40
with no
years.
intelligence
My
on
name
that
was
board.
out here, so, but I just telling everybody there is one. I'm not taking up for them because I know they're not doing anything.
Right.
So it's a matter of just,
Folding Benjamins.
I don't know where they are and what they're doing.
So to me, the purpose of meeting is an organizational meeting to establish an organizational structure and to propose or select a responsible board of directors that will do something. And I've been recommended by our counsel, by one of the retired attorneys in the law firm here, and said, well, we need officials, local and state officials, and other persons on that board for it to be effective.
Well, I just want you all to know that our District 8.2 Councilwoman, Ms. Cheyenne Johnson, is here with us today. And she's here with us every day, whether she's here just in spirit or also in flesh. I think we might have time. My timekeeper is in the back. Perry? I didn't see Jerry come. Dad, when you slip in here? You don't see. Okay, so our District 6 person is here too. Okay.
That's a real good question. She said, how can the Chamber of Commerce, bring jobs and to this area, right? The Chamber of Commerce is an effective organization. We used to work with Dexter Muir, but he's no longer there. But still we need a strong organization with a responsible board to move things forward. Just like she gave me business owners, we've got to develop a relationship with the businesses here in this area. Kroger, McDonald's, Walmart, go to their corporate offices and let them know who we are. We develop a relationship with them. And then in that relationship, then we can say, okay, why is the bathroom clean at the Kroger over here? Once we develop a relationship, once we become an organization, an organizational structure.
Everybody complains about these little low-paying jobs, and so if you bring in some companies that are to pay good wages, you're gonna see some improvement in, some of the code violations and whatever else, like people have business, some people have business in the neighborhood, don't even have a address, they doing something on the table, so we need to improve that.
Can we introduce our council people that are in the house with us tonight?
Well, he's retired.
No, our council people, Ms. Johnson and
Oh,
Ms. Curtis.
yes.
Please.
Please.
Come up,
Yeah, please.
Ms. Curtis.
Matter of fact, both of y'all have been gone up front.
Yeah.
Can you come up?
Be recognized.
Yes, please.
Put your face.
We want you to speak.
Yeah.
Oh, how do I say that? It's against the rules? Okay. All right. Well, we do want you to know that they are in the house, but it's against the rules, okay? So.
The press was not informed. The press was informed by me that we would be here, but we didn't specifically say who was going to be in attendance because we didn't know. So we respect that.
And this is more of an organizational meeting anyway.
Yeah, organizational meeting. So please use those index cards and help us form some committees. Where were we at? Booker, are you finished? Okay, well, we want the truth, and I don't know anybody else that could give us the truth, straight and forward and politically correct, other than the one and only Mr. Michael Williams. Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you, Booker.
Good evening. Man, I want to get up here and sing a song or something.
Sing something.
I really love the Lord. He heard my cry. First of all, I want to Mr. Leon Griffin, you've always been one of my idols, man. Growing up here, and Dr. Johnson, thank you so much for opening up your doors, Yvonne. The Honorable Cheyenne Johnson, the Honorable Jerry Kirk, and anybody else, esteemed guests that's in the house. First of all, I was asked to talk about wake up, step up. Give you a little history. I'm from Memphis, went to Grant Elementary, Caldwell, the oldest African-American high school in the city of Memphis, Manassas. Marched on Main Street in 1968 with Dr. King, my father. Been through a lot of things. Left Memphis for 20-something years and came back. And I was blown away. I was blown away. After traveling all over the country, and this was the home of the civil rights movement, and Dr. Martin Luther King had given his life here. Memphis is a beautiful city. We're the gateway to the West. We sit on the mighty Mississippi. We have a river port. We have barges all up and down the Mississippi. We're still one of the only largest cities that own our own utility. And I know a lot of people talk about MLG and robbery, but until you've been somewhere else, you don't know the value of owning your own utility. We have an NBA team. We have the second most visited house in the nation. We produce our own natural gas. People from all over the region come here to utilize our facilities. From Bartlett, Germantown, Millington, Lakeland, Arlington, to use your facilities. Yet, we have a 27-28% poverty rate in the city. Even though it's 63% African American, according on what day and who's counting. Do you know that Whitehaven swells to almost 1 million people some days? Because of all of the industry and the warehouses and the different transportation hubs that are down here in Whitehaven. I don't think the citizens of Whitehaven really know the value that they have. Do you know that Whitehaven is one of the biggest tax bases in the city of Memphis? Do you know that Whitehaven has one of the biggest voting blocks in the city of Memphis? Do you know how valuable you truly are? And here we are asking people, can we get a trash can? Can you empty our trash can? Do you know you paid for a $77 million guest house for Elvis Presley Enterprise? That's your money. You will have those that will tell you, oh, it's not taxpayer money, it's a TDZ. And do you know what a TDZ is? Tourism Development Zone? Do you know that when you go to that Dodge store up there, you're paying 12 to 13% in taxes? Hello? That's your money. Because normally the money you would spend at the Dodge store and the taxes would go to the state and they return the money back to the city and go into the general fund, into the city coffers, and they can use it for something else for you. But that's not happening. See, and that's why I got upset about just the trash can. I know a lot of people look at me as the president of the police association, but I've also tried to use that as a platform to be able to speak out. I ran for mayor in 2015. I'm not running this year. Sometimes you have to realize the purpose that God gave you. And I realized that my purpose is to be a voice. Because for some reason, we've had 7 African Americans on the city council. We had the ability to move City Hall, and we haven't. We had a black mayor. Do you know we have a predominantly black county commission? We have the ability to dominate the county. And I'm not saying that we should do that and exclude anybody else, but at the same time, we shouldn't be the ones coming up short.
Right.
They're talking about A $950 million project, Union Road. We're going to build a $50 million parking garage. That's your money. They're talking about spending $163 million to renovate the Cook Convention Center. $163 million, people. That's your money. They're talking about spending $126 million to do the Fairgrounds project. That's your money. They're talking about spending, 40-something million to redo Riverside Drive. $70 million to redo Riverside Drive. They're talking about building an aquarium over there on Mud Island. See, this is that we're going to build up, not out. And I have nothing against economic development, because we need that in order to progress. But there needs to be shared progression. Because see, we have a whole segment of people that are being left behind. Because we talked about these jobs. Now we're going to do a TIF in Whitehaven. Tax incremental financing. But guess what? It's designed for Elvis Presley enterprise. Yet you can't get a good community center for your children. I heard somebody talking about going somewhere to walk inside. Why you don't have a facility that's adaptable out in this community with as much taxes as you pay, that you can go and walk inside, or have your children to go, and they have music rooms, TV rooms, data, when you talk about coding classes. You know, what saved me in North Memphis coming up in Scudderfield was the fact that I could go to the community center. They had scheduled activities. They had activities in the park in the summertime. But see, they devalued us. But the problem is, we've allowed it.
Yes.
I can remember in 1968 when I was with my father, we were going around, because he was an activist, and I guess that's where I get it from now. My life you may take, but my integrity never. But I would go into churches and they would be packed. And I look at the church now, but not as a church, but as an organization. I look at it now. We become so consumed with just trying to make it on a day-to-day basis. And they count on that. Do you know they have a 5, 10, 15, 20-year plan?
Yeah.
See, we're reactive as opposed to proactive. I hear what you're saying, sir. There has to be an organized effort to be able to attack this, to be able to address the issues that definitely affect our community. I was so appalled when we gave up the control of our school system. Because see, what they're doing is attacking our youth. When I came up, education is the key to success. That's all I was taught. They can take away everything from you, but they can't take away your education, your knowledge, and they can't take away your integrity. So therefore, once they start cutting, they're closing schools down. You know, they told us, well, it's going to cost an additional $50 million in order to fund the school system. So,
Right.
you can spend $50 million on a parking garage, but you can't spend $50 million on the education of my children? And we went, yeah, let's give it to the county. Why not work on the laws that change the way in order the money is allocated, as opposed to giving up control of the education of your children? But that's what we did. So now we're starting to see the residual effects of it. They're closing schools down. They're dislocating children. Families are being torn apart. And then we wonder, what's the problem with our youth? Why they out here shooting? I know you're hearing shooting every night. Police is not the answer to the question. It's a part of the equation, but it's not the answer to the question. We have to put mechanisms in place that's going to give our youth their hope, their dreams, their aspirations, their drive back. Because half these children don't feel like they're going to make it till they're 24. But see, it's incumbent upon us to step up and be that voice. You know, a lot of people say, Mike Williams, you're crazy. You just said what's on your mind. I owe it to those that came before me. God has blessed me. I've been around the world. I can go to Jamaica when I feel like it. My kids are doing well. I owe it to the next generation. See, every other ethnic group is living for the next generation. We're living for the here and now. Instant gratification. We used to live for the next generation. I know my mother did. She sacrificed everything for me. That's the other reason I feel that I owe. So it's time for us to step up, to get outside that comfort zone, to get outside that box, and demand that we get a trash can, and demand that they put together a system to whereas they come and pick it up. But let me tell you how you do that. See, y'all might not want to hear this. Politicians. Y'all keep putting the same people in there. I don't know. I don't understand that. You understand what I'm saying? It's kind of like, well, you know, and we keep putting them back in there over and over and over and over. And I'm not trying to talk about any politician right now. Because I have my vote, I have my family vote, I have my friends vote, and anybody that asks me, I'm going to tell them, not that person. This is what they did, this, and this, because I'm educating myself on their voting records, what they did, what they did not do. You guys are powerful down here if you just come together. All right. You got the voting base, you got the people, you got the economic, you got some of the richest communities right out here. When you talk about Lionsgate. And I was surprised when I pulled down the street and I saw that big old house over there. Y'all still got horses down here. You just don't know how much power you have. A lot of people got mad when I put those billboards up. He crazy. He don't know what he doing. Excuse me. Are we not living in a dangerous city now? Is crime almost feels like it's out of control? I put those up 6 years ago because I was trying to wake you up. People didn't even start talking until I put those billboards up. But I knew it was going to start a conversation. And guess what? After that, a lot of people started coming together and they started doing things and they started talking. You got Up to Vote 901. You got this organization, that organization that are coming forward, and now they're demanding. And I'm going to tell you, these young people are on the rise. The millennials, they get it together, and they coming. I don't know if you're going to like what they're coming with because they have different ways of thinking. Some of them believe in socialism, for real. They don't want driver's license. They want mass transit, which is good. But they have some other things that they're going to bring to the table that you may not like as well. But guess who's one of the biggest voting blocks? 65 and over. Yep. Did y'all know that? Because see, y'all vote because you remember what it was like and you remember what you went through to get the vote. Even though the millennials are the biggest voting bloc, they didn't use it. But they motivated them to go to the polls now. And that's what you saw in the county election when you saw a lot of African-American women sweeping that election. Yes. I just want to encourage you today. I'm going to continue to be a voice in the community. I'm going to continue to speak out. Some things I'm going to say you like, some things I say you may not like, and that's okay. That's what I love about America. The freedom to think, the freedom to speak, and the freedom to be. But guess what? I'm going to love you just the same. And I hope you love me back. So if you got any questions, I'm easy to get a hold of. You can always talk to me. If you ever want me to come out, not a problem. And I just pray that you realize this is a very important election. All of them are important. But we have a lot at stake. So please, please, please. And I know this gentleman here, he probably got a daughter, son, grandson, great-grandson. See, when everybody in my family get ready to go vote, you know who they call? Michael, who's supposed to vote for? I just write a list out. Xerox it and give it to everybody, so when they take it to the polls, they know who to vote for. But you know how we came up, when I turned 18, my mother said, come on, we finna go vote. My whole family went, my grandmother, my grandfather, my mama, my daddy, my brother, all of us went to the polls and voted in the block. Because I didn't know what I was doing, I was just glad to have the rights. Right? So I want to thank you guys so much. It's been a privilege. I got to run because I got to be at another meeting at 7:30. And if you have any, yes, ma'am. Oh, area code 901 649 6162. That's my cell phone. That's my direct number. And if you can't get a hold of me there, my office number is 523-7075. My secretary answers the phone. But I'm easy to plug into. I do a show on Thursday nights, Comcast Town 31, Wake Up Memphis from Behind the Badge. You can talk to me. Phone lines are open. I also do a show on Saturdays on KWAM 990 or 97.9. It's Wake Up Memphis from Behind the Badge as well. And I wanted to give the citizens the opportunity to be able to talk to the police. It's one of the only shows across the country that we avail ourselves. Yes, I'm the police, but guess what? I'm a black man. I didn't like the police growing up. Sometimes you have to become a part of the system in order to change the system or to affect change in the system. So, anyway, I'm out. I won't take up too much of you.
If you're leaving, Michael, leave your donation at the back door back there. Okay, preacher. That's what I'm talking about. I was gonna do it anyway. Oh, bless you. Bless you.
I want to tell you, this has really been a great start as far as organization. But it's doesn't mean a thing if we don't follow through.